Hey,
How you doing today,
I'm
Commissioner?
doing I'm doing great. What's
That's
up,
good.
Wayne?
All right, how you doing, Commissioner?
I'm doing great.
Well, we're glad to have you here today, and we're speaking with Commissioner Brian Preston of Deerfield Beach District 2, and we're going to be asking Commissioner Ben questions, Preston, I'm sorry, some questions about District 2 and the city of Deerfield. So, Wayne, if you'd like to start today, you could go ahead and start.
All right, Commissioner, I got some questions here I wanted to ask you here.
Okay.
What is the state of the city finances during this pandemic right now?
Um, the city is very challenged with the its financial status. As you can well understand, so many people are not working right now. So many businesses not function as they normally would. So there is a revenue shortfall in the city. The city doesn't have as much coming in. I am happy to say, though, that the fund balance is pretty healthy that we have, and we have some money in reserve. And so, though we don't have the money coming in from regular sources that we would normally depend on, like the increment revenue, then from what we get from businesses, we still have a healthy fund balance.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you know, if you can tell us how much does the city have in its reserves and what is the shortfall dollar amount?
I don't think that anybody really know the exact number of of what that shortfall is. I mean, I would say that it's probably in a range, and I don't want to misspeak, but I don't know exactly what that is because this pandemic has affected businesses and continue to affect businesses. So when you look at it from a 2-3 month spectrum, it changes all the time because some other businesses have some income coming in but not like a lot. So, and when it comes to the city and its fund balance, I don't remember exactly what that amount is. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 million, somewhere in there.
And that's what's in the reserves, 20 million, because
Yeah,
I
somewhere,
know
yeah.
I checked months ago, it was like 17 million about maybe a month ago. I sent a public
Well,
request.
you got to remember, yes, that's 17 to the unassigned fund balance. That's the unassigned revenue in the fund balance. But you have about 3 million in the emergency reserve. So that's where that 20 million would come in.
Okay. Darrell, you can go. I got another question, follow-up question too, but I'll let you go.
Okay, so again, we're talking to Deerfield Beach City Commissioner in District 2, Commissioner Ben Preston. He's agreed to talk with us today. And I have a question. In Deerfield Beach, we don't have an amphitheater. Boca Raton has an amphitheater to the north of us. Pompano Beach has an amphitheater to the south of us. And Parkland to the west of us has a amphitheater. And I brought it up in the past, and I don't think that it went anywhere with the previous commissioners. And I'd like to bring it up again and ask you, what do you think about Deerfield bringing a amphitheater to Deerfield Beach? And what are your take on that? And a good place to put it, I would say, would be at Pioneer Park in Deerfield, because there's a lot of empty space over there right now, and I proposed that years ago, and I just think that would be a good place since it's been under construction for years.
Well, I think that's a very good question, Darrell. I think there's some validity to that question of an amphitheater in the city of Deerfield Beach, but there are questions. You spoke of several other cities that do have them. The question becomes really that if you were to put one in place, is it going to be used? And that's really what it boils down to. Does it become an asset for the community? Now, anything that where you can say that if we had it, that it becomes a positive for the city, then I'm all for it. I would wonder what the function is in Boca and in Pompano and the other areas that you talked about where they actually have an amphitheater. How does that enhance the community? And is it actually being used to where it is drawing the whole city together? Just a question. I'm not really against it, but I'd really like to know the answer to those questions before you say, "Hey, this is something that we need." Sometimes what we have done in different cities, including the city of Deerfield Beach, we might look at an example in another city, and that example that we look at, and we can look at its success, but it may not be that way in your city. Just because one city it has something, and it looks like it would be a positive in your city, before you even invest the time just in the investigation, you'd like to find out that this would actually be something that would be functional for the city of Deerfield Beach, and it would be an asset to our community, and not end up, like you said, they got a bunch of space over there, Pioneer Park, but putting it in an amphitheater and it just sits there and it's not functional, and that would be absolutely be a problem.
Well, just a follow-up, because I know Boca Raton at Meisner Park, they have concerts there. They have, and I've been to some of them up there myself, and we could have the same thing in Deerfield Beach. We could have concerts, recording artists come and perform, comedians. In Pompano, I've been down there, and they've had, people like B.B. King there. In fact, Travis T-Dog Gamage, he put on an event down there last year, and it was a success. And I was just looking at Deerfield, like Travis wants to bring back the Mango Festival to Deerfield Beach. That would be a good spot to, if we had an amphitheater here, to start the Mango Festival at our own amphitheater, because years ago, the Mango Festival started out at Westside Park, just inside the park.
Right.
So it would be a good, I think that it would be a good place to have something that if we had an amphitheater here in Deerfield Beach. So those are just a couple of examples.
Yeah, and like you said, it may be something that would be an asset to the community, and certainly it's worth looking into to see if in fact that is the case. And and you have to see where we go from there. Are the rest of the commissioners, assuming that they would be interested, are they amenable to even having that be a part of our community? And like I say, it would start with conversation, and it's worth it to have that conversation. I think it would be the right thing to do.
Well, that's a good start. At least we can just have a conversation about it and talk about it, and just see where it goes. That's a good starting point. So
absolutely.
Right.
Okay, Commissioner, a lot of the employees I talked to over the last few weeks have been very concerned in telling me that they feel like a layoff is coming. Can you speak on that? I know the budgets are coming up, the budget hearings are coming up, but a lot of the employees are really fearful now that a layoff will come again. They say that it's just certain things being said that they're concerned about. And I'm wondering if you can calm their fears about that, because I remember the last time in 2010 that happened. That really divided our community, and
It did.
I would hope that that would not happen again, because there's plenty of avenues out there to stop that. So I would like for you to speak on that if you can.
You know, Wayne, when you say that a lot of the people that you've been speaking to are very concerned about this and they feel like a layoff is coming, you know, and a lot of times people have a pending fear about something, and it may not necessarily be that way, and it doesn't mean that the city isn't experiencing some financial challenges. However, I think, and I'm just only speaking for myself, we need to do everything that we possibly can do to make sure that there are no layoffs. I mean, you have to become creative with the budget, and you need to do whatever you need to do to make sure that your employees, people who've been with you for the longest time, people that have worked hard for you, people that have families, you know, my feeling is that the city ought to protect them. That becomes your priority. Now, how would you do that? Well, I just told you that that you have in the reserves. You know, you're pretty okay. Um, and what are the reserves for? Well, they're there for basically, for lack of better terminology, for a city in a rainy day. Well, we're not in a rainy day right now. We're in a storm. And so if you have to take from the reserves, then you do it. But the first order of business before you cut any employee, you have to know what your shortfalls are. What is that shortfall? And from the money that you're not getting, you know, what would drive you into a situation where you have to say, you know what, I'm gonna lay off people? Well, there's a lot of considerations as far as I'm concerned before you ever get there. For instance, we have a lot of people that do contractual services for the city. Before any city employee has to lose their job, you get rid of those contractual services. If the people in the city can do that, which you've outsourced, then you let the city employees do that. That's one way to cut, okay?
Okay.
Another way, Wayne, is to look at a budget in a creative manner. In other words, maybe the residents, we the residents, have to give up something. Like, you know, I like my garbage being picked up twice a week. In order to save the employees, maybe once a week. And we have to maybe even be creative with what you know, the working hours of our employees. Maybe we need to explore something like to keep them with a full paycheck and keep them their job rolling. Let's cut in an area that we can say, let's look at how much money that will save. For instance, how about maybe a 4-day week, a 4-day 10, excuse me?
A 10-hour day.
Yeah, 10-hour day.
Right.
Okay. That's a possibility. My point in this is that you cut, in other words, you take take a little bit from the reserve, then you look at another area over here and look at another area over, and then you might maybe be able, if you cut in several different areas, you might be able to meet that shortfall. All of a sudden, your contractual work, you know, you're letting those people go. That's a savings. And so maybe you might be able to meet that deficit and you keep your employees. Certainly that has to be the commitment of the city, is to protect the people who've been here and the people who work the most for you. And it's certainly, I can tell you that that's my feeling and that's how I'm dealing with things.
And that's my sentiment too, to protect the workers. And me as a taxpayer, I don't mind biting back. You know, I don't mind cutting back on something that I might consider essential to save our employees. I think our employees are one of our greatest assets. I said that at your last district meeting, one of the last ones back in, I think, November or December, and I said that. And, and I'm not saying that because I used to work there, or me and Darrell used to work there. I know the importance of having a job, trying to provide for your family. And when that was did in 2010, it was did so cold and so callous. And by the time you got there, in I think 2012 or 11 or 11, this city was so divided that it's just starting to, we're just starting to try to get back together again now. And I just don't want to see that strife again. Like you say, I would hope that this city would go to every avenue they can to find ways to cut before they start laying off employees.
Well, I totally agree with you, and you are accurate, Wayne, in saying that how much this divided the city. There are still some angry sentiments that are still there to this very day of how that was done, one, and who did it most affect. The bottom line is that, let's face it, if there's a layoff, it is going to affect the minority community more than it's going to affect anybody else. And I don't want it to affect anybody, because you want everybody to keep their job. I mean, that's what you want. But let's not avoid it that one segment of your community is going to be disproportionately represented in a layoff. So they're going to hurt the most. And so it's always those that are at that rung in the ladder that others feel like they can exploit that to their advantages. And that's why when you're dealing with something like this, the most thought that you can put into it, the better off you're going to be. You have to think these things out. As I said, to reiterate, maybe we need to cut a little bit over here. First of all, know what that number is. What is that shortfall? What is that deficit? Because if you don't know that, then you're just playing with it. But once you know the number, then you can say, okay, let's just say if that number is 10 million. Say we have a $10 million shortfall. We don't make that 10 million. We got to make some drastic decision. Well, before you even go there, let's look at how we might be able to make that happen. Let's take a little bit from the reserve, take a little bit from over here, take a little bit from over here. Let's count that up. Now, where are we? Are we at 6 million? Are we at 8 million? You have to figure that out. Have we froze everything from a budget perspective? Have you froze everything now for the fiscal year 2020 and 2021, and we'll look at it in 2021 to see where we are? See, there's a lot of considerations that you need to have. If you say that you're going to lay off or you're going to have any type of furloughs or that sort of thing, how do you know it worked? How do you know? Let's look at a study. What studies show? What studies show whether when you go affecting people's livelihood? How do you know it's going to work? Or is it something that becomes financially convenient simply because you can do it? No, I want to know the information, because in the end, Wayne, the bottom line is that the employees can't suffer, and I'm going to fight for that as hard as I can. And it's not a black thing, because all of the city employees are not black. Right? You have a diversity, but I'm also will tell you there is a lot of black employees, and a lot of the time when it comes to that type of consideration of people who suffer the most, oftentimes are not thought of in a manner where their priorities are important. And guess what? We have to have progressive thinkers to say, let's look this thing over before you make any drastic decision that's really going to affect the lives of people.
And that's what I agree with you. And I would hope that would be the sentiment of the other four, of the mayor and the other three commissioners. I would hope that they would take that into full consideration. Okay, Darrell, I'll let you go.
Okay, Commissioner, being Preston, as I travel through Deerfield Beach, I ride my bicycle over to the beach sometimes, and I notice certain things that they have over in District 1 that we don't have over here in District 2. And one of them is, I noticed that from the railroad tracks right at Dixie and Hillsborough, all the way over to the beach, they have nice paver bricks and palm trees all the way over to the beach, all up and down the beach. I remember when they put them in fact, Wayne and I, we worked over there when they were doing a lot of that work. But if you look, and if you pay attention, when you cross over the railroad tracks and you cross over to over Dixie Highway, if you're headed westbound, you notice that there aren't any paver bricks and nice palm trees from Dixie and Hillsborough on over to I-95, which runs, I-95 runs parallel with District 2. There aren't any. What do you think about getting some nice paver bricks and palm trees into our district so that it can look as nice as District 1? And if you ever been down Delray Beach, you notice that they have nice lights lighting up there on the trees and the sidewalks, and it's just really pretty at night. And I'd like to see something like that come in Deerfield. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Darrell, your observations are accurate, but I'm going to also tell you that it has been easy to do those things in District 1 because of one big thing, and that's called the CRA. Most of what you've seen is dollars that come from the CRA. Unfortunately, we don't have that in District 2. In 1999, this is my opinion, that there was a grave error that was made in not establishing that CRA in District 2. Had that happened, there would be paper bricks, and you would see a lot nicer situations aesthetically in District 2 than what you see presently. Now, in order to create a CRA back in '99 and even today, but back in 1999, by state law, there must be two criteria. I want you to use your own imagination right now. So in 1999, if you have to have two things to create a CRA, one of them is slum and one is blight. Those are the two things that you have to have a funding engine to your CRA. So let's assume there was some measure of blight and slum on the beach. I don't believe that there were.
No.
Okay, but for the sake of having this conversation, let's just say that there was. Well, you know what would come immediately to mind is that I can tell you where there was a greater situation where there was slum and blight.
In District 2.
Absolutely. And for political purposes, it did not happen. And so now generations have paid the price for that. And I will let you know that right now I am presently dealing with that. I have asked the city, city commission a few, about a month and a half or 2 months ago, somewhere there about, to allow the city manager to begin to gather some information about creating another CRA in District 2. So I'm dealing with that. That presentation has not happened. It's going to happen very soon, probably not at this coming city commission, but at the next city commission. And they're going to give us our options. Here's the problem. The problem is that what I'm looking at is an early sunset of the CRA that's in District 1. It's scheduled to sunset in 2029. My thing is that if we could early sunset it with a negotiation clause, then we could get some funds that we can begin to challenge some of the situations that are in District 2 that we've been there forever, and that we could deal with them. we don't know if it can happen yet or not. But I have asked the city commission to allow the city manager to get that information. That is being done. And then he's going to present it to us. And then there's going to be some recommendations. If we had a funding engine, a funding mechanism, wherein it would be recurrent, then you can do a lot of good things. The thing is with the present CRA, it has a funding engine. It gets money from the city. It gets money from the tax increment revenue from the county, and it gets money from the North Broward district. And so somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million goes into that CRA. The problem would be is that if you created another one, the county may very well say, no, Deerfield, I'm not going to give you any money. And the North Broward district as well. But what they might be amenable to is saying, okay, if you early sunset it, we can split the funds. That might happen. And at least that would be something that would be, at least an avenue to explore. And let's just say, if you had a balance in the present CRA, and you could start those talks where you're talking about an early sunset with a negotiation clause that, and I'm just using numbers here, there's $3 million in there. And somehow you ended up with a 50-50 split. Well, now you got $1.5 million to start off the new CRA with, and begin to address the businesses and maybe create some opportunities. When you go and off of I-95 and go up to Delray and you get off at Atlantic, the reason it looks like that is because the CRA, it worked.
Absolutely.
It worked. It changed it. And if you look at Deerfield Beach, you get off of I-95, if you're going south, and you get off at Hillsborough Boulevard, from Hillsborough to Dixie is not an inspiration for business to come in and work.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's just not. They look at it aesthetically, and then all of the, I would say, the stereotype starts to jump in there. If I build a business here, are my customers, are they going to be threatened? Are they going to be robbed? And all kinds of things that people deal with. So if you made it look good, you could then, with some degree, Darrell, offer some incentives. Like, I'll tell you what, Mr. Adams, if you bring your Red Lobster here, we'll give you a tax incentive to do that. For the first year, you pay 0. Put them on a 4-year plan. Second year, you pay 25%. Third year, you pay 50%. Fourth year, 75 until they bring them up. But you're going to have to actually maybe, give someone some sort of an incentive to come into the Dixie residential area.
Because that first appearance, when you get off of I-95 and what you see, that catches the people's eyes. And when if it's nice and built up, and people are going to want to come to Deerfield and say, this is nice here, and we want to bring our business here. We want to live here, and for them to take the CRA money that's supposed to be for the target area, and we all know what the target area is. That's in District 2. And they take that money and they put it over in District 1, and they fix up the beach, and they make it look good. That's not right. We need our fair share of that pie, that CRA money, and we need to fix up District 2.
But you got to realize that by law, once you establishes a CRA district, that money can be spent only in that district by law. So that money that you see in the CRA today cannot pass Federal Highway. It goes from the beach to the east side of Federal.
Absolutely.
Okay? And so what you need is, we need to go in a different. That's why I asked the city manager to get the information so it can be presented to the commission about establishing a new CRA. And we are doing that. Now, let me also tell you that when, I was in office before, and during my first term, I went to Boca Raton to meet with Mike Gold. Now, he was the CEO of People's Trust. He gave me a tour. See, they were actually in Boca Raton, and they were thinking about coming to Deerfield, and they gave me a tour of the place in Boca Raton, and I was impressed. And they says, what do you think of our business? And I said, I really like it. I said, however, there are some challenges. I was really challenged with the way that 15th Street looked at the time and the way that that area was laid out. And I told them, I says, we got people, kids in this neighborhood, we got a high school, it needs attention. And I challenged them, Mr. Gold, on his commitment. Now, Mr. Gold has passed away, but I will tell you, he was very instrumental in People's Trust in helping establish, a beautification that I sponsored on 15th Street, which is now actually Buck Pride Way. Okay. And something, you get businesses to come in, but you don't get to just come in, Darrell, when you already know that the area that you're in is financially challenged. You know that there is a lack of businesses, and you know what it's like for the resident. The businesses have to come in willing to commit to the city and willing to commit to the community. Jobs, okay? Helping where you can to commit funds to build up the area. And it's that type of commitment that we would hope that they would come in with, and say, what, we don't want to be in the community, we want to be a part of the community.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes, Wayne. We have a couple more questions to ask you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Is there any plans, Commissioner, to improve the lighting around the city, especially in District 2? You ride down some of the streets at night, it is very dark.
There is, and it's going on as we speak. There is a plan in place. We've replaced a lot of lights thus far. That is definitely happening. And so you will see a difference in that.
Okay. Does the city employ a lot of Black contractors?
We have a process. You can't just say that you're going to employ Black contractors. There is a request for proposal. If we have a process, a bidding process. Black businesses are allowed to be a part of that, and you go through the process, and it's who wins out in that process.
Okay. And I always wondered, Commissioner, over the years, how hard is it to just commit maybe $1 million a year to District 2 to improve the neighborhood, to improve the infrastructure, to improve the appearance? How hard is that? Is that something that's in the past has been considered, or just something that never came up, or was it the job of the commissioner to implement that or try to implement it?
And being that we're running out of time, I want to just say to you first,
3 minutes.
to you and Darrell, this is a good thing that you're doing to ask questions and to get information out to the people. So I just want you to know that I support what you're doing. I think this is a great thing. And I think that both of you guys have always been aware and workers in the community, and that's important. So keep going, guys. This is a good thing. Now, to answer the question, that would be a difficult thing to do, because if you gave $1 million to District 1, I can tell you what the District 3 commissioner is going to say and the District 4 commissioner is going to say. And in a sense, what you've done is put funds like a CRA. You have to look at what you have that's presently in place that could actually affect, District 2. Now, District 2 disproportionately, as far as finances are concerned, District 2 is challenged economically. We know that. It has been that way for the longest time. You look at District 1, you look at District 3, you look at District 4, then you look at District 2, and you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference in the residential area. You see a difference in businesses, and all of that affect, the surrounding community. what we need to do is, again, find something that's there that will be able to address those issues, like a new CRA that I'm working on. That
Okay.
would make a difference. There's your money right there, and that's where you start to make a difference. And you know, I really don't want to get hampered in debating what happened in 1999, but it was a mistake, Darrell. It was a mistake, Wayne. It was a mistake that people let happen. It just shouldn't have never happened, but it did. Now, I'm not going to hamper and, you know, and just, you know, okay, it was a mistake. My job is to see what I can do about improving it. I can't live in the past. I have an opportunity, as I have challenged the city commission, I'm sorry, the city manager, show us the facts. What happens? And, you know, is this possible? If it's at all possible, I'm going to ask my colleagues at some point to help me create opportunities where the opportunity is needed.
Okay.
But that's where the community also needs to know what's going on, needs to say, you know what, that idea is a good one, and we support our commissioner. They need to come out. They need to be a part of it. You know, unfortunately, sometimes we look at it is that that's the, you know, the commissioner, he's responsible or she's responsible, blah, blah, blah. You know what is? I'm going to tell you, I'm the voice. I got to be able to share that voice with the people who would hear it. But the most important people that's a part of this is the residents. It's you. And you got to come out. And when people don't come out to the meetings, and when people don't talk, you know, it doesn't help. I pride myself, Darrell, I pride myself, Wayne, in being able to answer this phone when people call me to you know, when they have an issue. They have a commissioner that they can call, and you know what? It's at a cost, because a lot of times I don't go to bed till late, but people who have garbage problem, whatever the problem might be, I often go to their home. We must come together, but I need participation. I need help. Other than that, it's easy to say, well, the commissioner didn't do that, but where's your contribution?
Absolutely.
How many people know about you know, about the present situation with the CRA? How come you're not making any noise about that? You've been living with it for years. You know, why isn't nobody saying, hey, we just cannot live with it? That's not right. As you said, it's not right, and it's not right. But you know what? It doesn't change until we all collectively come together under one voice. I have to hear you, Wayne. I need to hear you. I got to hear you, Darrell, and then I got to be your voice. You know what I ran on? You know what my campaign slogan was? Your eyes, your ears, your voice. That has not changed. That has not changed. And I pride myself in being the eyes and the ears and the voice of this community. I don't just, you know, I don't hide. I don't hide. People
No, you
call me,
don't.
I answer my phone.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I can attest to that. Because every time I've called you, you've always been available. And if you did miss my call, you would always call me back. So
And you know
you're
what else I try to
absolutely
do?
right.
Whatever the problem is, I might not be able to answer all of the situations, but I'm gonna get in contact with the people who did, like in your situation. I'm not afraid to talk to somebody and say, hey, here's a problem here. See, until we all have a shared interest in the community, is my point, Wayne.
Yes.
That's when you're gonna see the change. It's when the people, I'm not the change. I'm not. You are.
And we need more younger people to get things going right. The younger people are the ones that making the changes right now. That's in the police departments around the country. We need
Correct.
more people. You know, I would like to see someone younger as your successor,
That's
because
right.
I think, you know, that we would need someone younger coming in with younger ideas. That would be good. I would hope, you know, sometime you would, you know, someone that want to step up, that you would train them and groom
Or
them.
her. Or her.
Or her. I definitely want to say that. I don't want to. I'm just so used to saying that. Just train him or her to take over and just come right in, running, hitting the ground, going. I mean, because.
But let me just caution you with one thing, Wayne. Youth is important, but it's not the most important criteria. You got to have whoever sits in this seat after me has got to have a passion to serve the people. That's it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You cannot be thinking about yourself. And if that person is 25 years old, that's good. If that person is 30 years old, that's good. If that person is 80 years old, it's good. A passion to serve. Because in the end, what the people want is for you to be proactive, to get things done. You got to be creative in your thinking. You got to be able to say, you know, this is you know, things that are not there now, and we need to improve that. And you know, I'm going to just tell you, I thank the Lord, with the blessings that He has gave me. He has given me a vision, a creative mind to be able to serve the people. It is not about Ben Preston. It is about Ben Preston serving the people and doing it so that whatever you do, it has to make a difference. And that's what I try to do. And so I listen to my constituents. I had a big town hall about the shootings up on Southwest 3rd Street. I don't run away from issues. I don't run away from issues. Unfortunately, this pandemic has really set things back in a huge way. You know what? But we must weather this storm too, because it too will pass. But the bottom line is when you leave, have you made a difference, Darrell? Have you made a difference, Wayne? That's really what it's about. And I'm proud to do that. And I'm going to keep doing it, but I need help. I need help.
Absolutely. And I have one more question. It hasn't
Okay.
given me the prompt that they're gonna shut us off yet, but what do you think about a community pool being added to District 2? Maybe at Oviedo McKeithen Park. I noticed that, I mean, I know they have one at Ely, Mitchell Moore Park. We'd like a community pool over in District 2. Having one over near the middle school is fine, but we would like to get a community pool over in our area in District 2. And what are your thoughts?
Well, there are some people that have brought that up, and I don't, you know, think that it's a bad thing, something that, you know, we could look at. But I will tell you, it's not a good reason. It's not, you know, we need to do better with what we already have. See, if we put another pool in, which I can tell you there would be huge resistance to doing that. But if you put another pool in, now you got 3 pools. You got one at the high school, you got one at the middle school, and then you would have one in District 2. You got 3 pools. How many people are going to those pools? Is that a good use of funds? Does it justify the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars? Well, one could say that if you save one life, then it would justify it. But you know what I would say? Can that same life be saved at Deerfield Beach High School with a program? Could it be done at the middle school? My thing first, before you jump to something like that, Darrell, is do the research. How can we make it work with what we already have? And you know what that allows me to do? Take the dollars that I would have built that pool with, and maybe I can do something else constructive in my community that will allow you know, our kids to have another resource, maybe with computers or maybe with something else. I already got 2 pools. If District 2 people are not being incorporated into the scheme, I got to be intelligent enough to figure out how do we do that. And I believe I can do that.
I would definitely like to see a library, something, because I believe in the power
Yes.
of knowledge.
Yes.
I'd like to see a library put over in our community, maybe at Westside Park somewhere on some land. At least the kids can come play football,
Yes.
and then they can go, if they have any homework, they can go right to the library. But
Yes.
I would definitely like to see a library, something that I know will get utilized here.
Now, see, now I would definitely, you know, that's a solid idea. That's a solid idea. That's a solid idea. You know what? I'm gonna just tell you before, Wayne, I had you as well, Darrell. I had a GED program. It was called Project Second Chance. When I left, it went away. Okay, politics, and those are kind of things that you can't do. If something is a benefit to the community, you have to work hard. No matter who thought of it, does it matter who thinks of it? It doesn't matter who
Okay.
thinks of it. It just, if it's a benefit to our community, we must try to make it happen. I had a GED program, Project Second Chance. When I lost the re-election, it went away. I was one of the first ones, or the first one, the Sun Sentinel covered it. I had actually a debate program between elementary and middle school kids. When I went to Broward County and told them that this was a good thing, they didn't want me to do it. They said, well, we're going to do that down the road. But they weren't doing it. So I had a guy come in, teach debate to the schools, and we had a big debate off at Deerfield Beach High School. And it was a success. Why did I do that? You know why I did it? Because oftentimes our kids aren't good speakers. I did it so that they learn how to research. Because if you're going to argue the negative or the affirmative, you got to know both sides. And so that's what I did. And so that went away. See, oftentimes we're not progressive enough to do the things that we need to do to keep whatever we have that is helping our community, you know, to do it. A debate program, I'm telling you, is a good thing. Okay. A library, absolutely. You need to look into that. That's a good thing. So, you know, I'm open to those kinds of dialogue.
Yeah, I love a library. I mean, I love to read. So I definitely always, and I think every commissioner has been there. I have asked them about a library, and I think it was just, it probably might have went in one ear and probably came out of the other, or they didn't have the funding. I mean, I don't know, but I think, you know, we should definitely look into that. And I have one more question too. Is there any more progress on, I remember the city went after former city manager Burgess Hanson. What's the update on the city trying to recoup the money from that time?
You know, I'm going to just challenge you to, you know, I'm going to say it this way. The city, you know, allowed that to go on. I mean, him to leave, and whatever he owed to the city, it went through the city attorney. That money was, or whatever, you know, challenges that they had for money on the books, they were able to take care of that. And so there is no update because it was something that is not anything that was put under the cover. There were some things that was exposed. I challenge you to go back and look at those things, but the city attorney got involved, and there was restitution that was paid, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I think everyone had always wondered what happened. You know, it's like it was a news story, and then all of a sudden it's like it magically just disappeared. And
Right.
a lot of people had asked, you know, what happened, you know, with that. So it's been good speaking with you, though.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's
My
always
pleasure.
good talking to you, Commissioner Preston, and I applaud
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for, you know, you're doing an outstanding job. You always pick up the phone when I call you, and again, if you don't, you always call me back, and you have been working side by side with me tirelessly to help put this peaceful protest together, which will be coming up here on the 20th of June, and
Correct.
and we, yeah, if you want to speak on that for briefly, if you want to, go ahead.
Yes.
We haven't gotten the
Yeah, we're
prompt
going to
yet.
have a peaceful protest of which we invite everybody to be a part of it. Darrell is the one that came to me initially with the idea. There's been some other people that have joined in, which goes to show you his passion is to allow other people to have some input. That's going to take place on June 20th at 9 a.m. It looks as though we're going to start from Oviedo McKeithen. I will say this, that the actual projected protest route is still to be determined. We're gonna clean that up on Monday, and you the public will be getting some more details about what's going to be happening with that protest. It's necessary. You know, we must galvanize the energy that is available at this present time to bring about meaningful change to the police. to our community. And whatever that we can do to make ourselves better, we're obligated to do that. From my perspective, I am the commissioner, proudly of District 2. But I want you to know that it's not a me thing, it's a we thing. And if we can work together and we can embrace the challenges that are in front of us, and we together are able to solve issues, we together will be a better community. And if we do those things, it's going to not only lift up District 2, but it's going to make the entire city better. And that has to be the quest, is making the city better through the things that we can do. And so what is that all about? Again, we're drawn right back to service. It's about how well you serve. Where's your passion to serve your community? And that's what I challenge people with. But let me just end with this. I want to thank both of you again. You know, I've known you for a long time, Wayne, a long time. And you have always been respectful to me. Your father is an icon in this community, and you're following in his footsteps. And the same thing for you, Darrell. I've known you, always respectful, always nice, a passion for your community, and you following in the footsteps of your father as well. And so I thank you guys for what you're doing, the Adams Brothers podcast. You know what? It's a platform for information. This is the kind of thing that could actually pass by people, but you didn't let it pass by. And the only reason that you didn't is you care. Oftentimes, people who help bring a solution are the same people who are pointed at as a part of the problem. Well, let me tell you something. You're not the problem. You're part of the solution. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great day.
Also, I want you to give the dates of the budget hearings too. So I think that's very important too, the dates of the budget hearings.
Well, I would tell you to look on the city website and look at it, because I know they start in the latter part of June. I want to say probably the 22nd, but don't hold me to that. Look it up.
Okay.
We are talking to Commissioner Ben Preston. He's the District 2 City Commissioner in Deerfield Beach, and we asked him some tough questions, and he came through. And we want to thank you for your time. We know your time is precious, and you're always busy doing something here in our city. Thank you very much for being on the Adams Brothers podcast, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yes,
all right, keep it the Adams brother, and don't go Adams family, okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Ben Preston, and you have a wonderful evening.
Everyone have a good weekend.
You as well. Take care, guys.
All right, you too.